you find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it.
What's going on, movie lovers and bud smokers, and welcome back to another episode of 5 on It. We are your hosts. I am Francisco.
And I'm Sir Frazier.
And on today's episode, we are, well, since the NFL playoffs are going on, the college football playoffs just got done. Congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes. I know they whooped on my Ducks' ass. But in celebrating the football season right now, we are taking it back to 1999, and we are reviewing the sports drama Any Given Sunday, directed by the acclaimed Oliver Stone. But before we dive into that, don't forget to subscribe, share, like, comment, drop some comments on your favorite moments from Any Given Sunday, your scores as well, anything you want us to review in the future. But Sir Frazier, tell the people what you're smoking.
Man, so we're back at it again with Toking Blunts, and this is Acapulco Gold, man. This is a nice sativa. Activation time immediately.
I like how they put activation time like shit. It's like, bitch, that shit's never accurate.
No, it hits smooth though. Oh yeah, you gotta be careful with that. You know, before we dive into the movie, man, I really wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of the late great David Lynch. He passed away recently, and you know he's a very beloved director who's turned out some of the most beloved TV shows and movies of all time, ranging from Twin Peaks to Blue Velvet to Mulholland Drive. And I know different theaters in Portland are showing some of his movies to honor him. And yeah, man, if you know, that's just something you and I have talked about off camera is, you know, revisiting, or actually not even revisiting, but taking a look at some of these movies, because I'm not as familiar with a lot of his work. Mulholland Drive is probably is actually the next movie on my own personal viewing list. But yeah, just wanted to say rest in peace to David Lynch.
Man, honestly, the only movie that I've seen of his is the original Dune. It's actually, I mean, for its time, it's not too bad. I mean, the Dunes that's come out recently, especially Dune 2, those are masterpieces in my opinion. Dune 2 was my favorite movie of the year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was. I mean, cinematography on that movie is just so beautiful, man.
Dude, it's amazing. Even like the choreography between the fight scenes, like towards the end, it's amazing.
That director and also Eggers both make really visually pleasing movies. Nosferatu. I haven't seen The Witch, but I know that's something I've also heard about, The Witch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Just wanted to, like, even with David Lynch as well, you might see some of his movies coming up on our review board in the future. Definitely, like, maybe like a Blue Velvet, because that's something that I've definitely heard like really good things on. So you might see some of his movies pop up on the future. But rest in peace, David Lynch.
All right, so diving right into Any Given Sunday. So for those of you who haven't seen this, a summary for this movie is it's a behind-the-scene look at the life and death struggles of modern-day gladiators and those who lead them. As was mentioned, this is Oliver Stone's picture. This movie stars Al Pacino, Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, LL Cool J, and other...
A young Aaron Eckhart, man.
A young Aaron Eckhart.
But also one of the bottom billings, but man, he's a up and coming actor.
James Wood as well, James Woods. But also quite a few former football players. Lawrence Taylor, Jim Brown, Terrell Owens is in this movie as well.
I just realized he was in this movie when I went and watched
me too.
This.
I had no idea
who was that. That was him. I had to pause and I'm like, is that really him?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, you even have coaches Barry Switzer. He plays a commentator. So this is a pretty star-studded cast, and also one thing that was really interesting to read about was there was a lot of tension in this movie, and I heard someone say, you know, that's not uncommon in movies that have a lot of physical contact. Roles that there's a lot of physicality. I mean, obviously, probably the most well-known example of it in this movie was the notorious fight between LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx that happened on set. But so Stone developed the script alongside John Logan by drawing from a few different scripts. One source was a script titled Monday Night by former tight end Jamie Williams and sports journalist Richard Weiner. Another source was the spec script On Any Given Sunday by John Logan and Playing Hurt by Daniel Pyne. So both of those. And the last one that I came across was the 1994 book You're Okay, It's Just a Bruise, A Doctor's Sideline Secrets by Robert Huizenga, I think is how you pronounce his name. Mm-hmm. But this is the character. This is the person who James Wood's character was based off of. Something that I thought that was really interesting, just kind of thinking about where Oliver Stone was at this time. He was coming off of the commercial success, but the commercial success of he was motivated to direct a commercial success after Nixon bombed at the box office. This movie, that movie, Nixon, grossed $13 million on a $44 million budget, right? Whereas Any Given Sunday, I mean, that movie had a budget of $55 million and they brought in over 100. So just as a, comparison. So did you hear that Stone's first two choices to play the head coach, D'Amato's role, were Pacino and De Niro?
Really?
Yeah, he actually considered, both of them were kind of, those were his first top choices to play the character.
Man, I think he went with the good choice, though. Thinking of both actors. I mean, De Niro is obviously a fantastic actor in his own right. Mm-hmm. But thinking of the character of, I can't even bring it up, of Tony, you need Pacino in that role, man. You need somebody that's going to go over the top a little bit. I mean, I guess De Niro could go over the top as well. I mean, I guess I'd like to see his rendition of it.
That's going to be one of my negatives.
But, honestly, like, Pacino, I was like thinking like one of my highlights of him was his acting wasn't too bad in my opinion. Your face.
It's not good.
I'm thinking it wasn't.
It's not an endorsement.
It wasn't terrible when he was one-on-one.
Endorsement.
It wasn't. He's not my best. He's not my favorite actor. He's got his moments, but when he's one-on-one with like a Jamie Foxx or one-on-one with Cameron Diaz, I feel like they were actually like. I mean. They're both kind of like just kind of going at each other, especially like in the office scene with him with Cameron Diaz. But with him and Dennis Quaid, like when he's in the hospital, I was feeling like which one of these motherfuckers is going to overact first? Because they're both just going over the top right now.
Yeah.
But he's like, Cap, how much you got left, man? And he's like, God damn it, give me a gun. Like, dude, they're both just like hamming it up a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I guess
I definitely saw that a lot in this movie.
I mean, I guess they're trying to give you, in certain aspects, a realistic view into like, the life of a football player and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they're just going a little bit over the top with it. I mean, maybe it is super accurate. I mean, it does seem pretty accurate in certain cases, especially when like the players are getting hurt and they're just trying to shoot them up with like medication and all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's definitely realistic a lot of the times.
Well, something I was gonna say, hold on. A fun fact that I did want to point out is we're talking about casting. Diddy was cast as Willie Beeman. But reportedly,
what?
But reportedly, he stepped away due to schedule conflict. Baby oil. Couldn't grip the ball. Boss.
Where are we filming this? Florida. That's too hot for baby oil.
So it was reported he allegedly couldn't do the role because he couldn't film because of a scheduling conflict with his music career, right? But other sources said he couldn't throw the ball for shit. He could not play. He could not play quarterback convincingly. Whereas Jamie Foxx, he actually played in high school, and he, he's throwing the ball out there.
I mean, Jamie Foxx is
those hits too were
I think one of the most
bone crushing.
I think he's one of the most talented individuals in Hollywood ever.
Oh yeah,
wherever you
big
want to
facts.
throw him. I mean, he does comedy, music, acting, and now he's played sports. I mean,
at a high level of all of those at a high level.
I mean, there aren't too many shots where it's showing him like clear as day, just like him throwing the ball from like no cuts or anything like that. But they do have a few of those moments where they show him just slinging it to Owens. And we already know what Owens can do, obviously. But hearing Diddy was up for the role, I mean, Jesus Christ, and especially where we're at today.
Oh, man, yeah. Well, you know who also? So Chris Tucker and Will Smith were also approached, but they turned down the Beeman role.
Man, Will Smith is just kind of stays on. I mean, I guess this one isn't as bad as The Matrix or Django, because those were, I mean, critically acclaimed movies. Went on to win some awards and have very high level box office success. I mean, but any given Sunday, still
great opportunities though.
Yeah,
and I'm glad Jamie Foxx played Django. I mean, to me, top 3 Tarantino movie, by the way.
And these 2 roles he missed. Jamie Foxx snagged up because of
facts,
and ended up doing a great job.
This is around the time of Booty Call, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know, Google that movie.
That is a gem of mine. I remember watching that younger, bro, and just having the biggest crush on Vivica.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, Vivica goddamn, she's a fox. Holy smokes.
Yes. I remember that movie very well.
But I also remember being Jamie Foxx being hilarious in that. But
tarantula hair fool.
Do I look Pakistan?
Yo, Bernie Mac has a great cameo in that movie. Oh god,
Bernie's in Booty Call.
Yeah, remember he?
I don't remember the movie too well. It's been years. But
it's been a minute too for me. But yeah, he has a cameo in that. Remember where I think they're picking up condoms or Saran wrap. Oh. And they run into him at the store. He's with his they call him Judge or something like that. He's with his side piece.
What's your? I mean, this is like a kind of like a super in the weeds kind of question. I was gonna say, what's your favorite like Bernie Mac, maybe like even movie or cameo? Where would you go? Because I was just thinking of like that moment. I was thinking of like his little small role in How to Be a Player when they come back to the house and he's just like, "What's that smell? Smells like Badussy up in here."
Okay. So this is my favorite, but I'm also gonna give you a another one that is low key like underappreciated. Okay, so the first one, my favorite, might be Don't Be a Menace, where he plays the fucking cop.
Oh yes, that's legendary.
Yo, that shit was so wild. I was like, yo, this shit is disgusting. But he like nails it.
I hate the keys on the piano because they black.
I hit the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck. It's like, bro.
I hate Whoopi Goldberg's gums.
Okay, so that might be low-key my favorite, but the one that is very underrated but is actually really good is his role as Flip in Above the Rim, where he plays the homeless dude. Like, he nails that role. Yeah, and I love that movie. That's one of my favorite sports movies.
Yeah. That was, I mean, he's
what's yours?
Is that his most, like, serious role, maybe?
He's been in, I mean, honestly, I really like him, especially in the first Ocean's 11. I mean, Ocean's 11 is kind of, it's a heist movie.
It's fun.
It's fun, but yeah, it is.
Flip feels like he was like kind of digging into his bag a little bit of his acting, even though it was like more of his early stages of his career. Honestly, like my favorite.
Spooky. God. Speaking of comedians and fucking really dramatic roles, man.
Probably
their bag.
Honestly, probably my favorite is just. I mean, my favorite cameo is easily the one that I just mentioned from How to Be a Player.
How to Be a Player.
But my favorite, I think maybe just the Bernie Mac show. Man, I remember watching that growing up, and that was just a staple for me. And
yeah, that's classic.
Yeah, there was plenty of funny moments in the Bernie Mac show. If you know, now you know.
Well, going back to Any Given Sunday, now that we're back out of the weeds. I'm sorry we were lost there for a minute. About this movie, so Oliver Stone had directed Platoon, and I read that leading up to this movie, when he was approaching this picture, one of the things that he did is I think he took some of the stars or some of the crew to go see Saving Private Ryan. And, kind of like getting into that mentality of kind of thinking about the field as a battlefield, the football field as a battlefield, and thinking about, your fellow teammates as fellow soldiers in the trenches. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way to approach this movie, because I think where it does, one of the parts where this movie really excels is just immersing us in the gridiron trenches. I mean, 160 minutes of this movie. I mean, yeah, 160. I think I read that 160 minutes of this movie are spent in the actual in the trenches, like in the field or in the game.
160.
No, I'm sorry. I think it was 60 minutes. Sorry, my
okay. I'm about to say 160. I'm like,
no, there's this movie.
that's over the.
I was just say this movie is 157. Yeah, good catch.
Yeah, that's just.
I was high when I was typing my notes up. But a lot of this movie is actually spent there, in the locker rooms, on the field. The actual cinematography on the field, especially like, remember when Shark is leaving the game after the defense stopped the opposing team's offense, and you kind of see like these hazy views, and you see like this shadowy figure in the stands.
Yeah,
like I thought some of those visuals kind of again really kind of hinting at like the CTE, the toll of the game on these players, these gladiators, right? I thought that was like, there were moments where I thought that was super effective.
Well, I think
that was one of them.
That's where this movie kind of like lives and breathes on, is like the moments that's on the battlefield, on the football field, wherever you want to look at it, or in the locker room, even in the shower scene when they actually do have the little fighting moment. It's those moments are like the highlights of these movies. When it comes down is when, like, it's outside the field. It feels like there was kind of a lot going on, like especially plot wise, because there's so many different characters. You have obviously Lawrence Taylor's character, Willie Beeman, Cap going on, even the offensive coordinator, what he's going on with the coach. It feels like there's
Cameron Diaz's character.
Yeah, she's trying to sell the team and what's going on with that and what her mom is doing. It feels like there's a lot going on.
And it suffers because of that.
Yeah.
Because this movie should not, I mean, to me, they would have done better to have narrowed their focus character-wise, but still exposing us to like the cultural like dynamics of being a professional football player.
Yeah.
But they could have just focused on a couple of characters instead of trying to spread too wide of a net.
Yeah, watching this, it felt like this could have easily lend itself to like maybe a series. Like if this was like an HBO series,
limited series.
Yeah, like an 8-episode HBO series, Any Given Sunday. I mean, I guess that's what pretty much almost Hard Knocks is in a way. And that's you're giving like a real look into like the behind the scenes of how a football team is ran and all that type of stuff. But like I said, this movie is the highlights are easily on the football field. Even like you said, showing like the CTE and things like that. But also watching it and thinking of the NFL playoffs right now. Are you pretty familiar with the playoffs right now? Like the Washington team, the Commanders.
Well, I know that they're ahead of schedule. He's a rookie quarterback.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Dude, watching Willie Beeman, I was like, Jaden Daniels is fucking Willie Beeman right now. Just like a young dude. Obviously, Willie Beeman, they kind of go into like his background just a little bit, and like it's not that deep as far as like they weren't drafted in the same position, nothing like that. But I was thinking this young dude slanging that rock, running around, juking dudes out of their fucking ankles. This is Jaden Daniels right now, is fucking Willie Beeman, and they're about to play my brother's team to go to the Super Bowl. So that should be a good game as well.
What was I like the I was thinking about the storyline of this movie. I really like the way this movie starts off because we start off in the middle of a football game. This team is on a really rough losing streak. I think they're at this point 3 games in. They're in a 3-game losing streak, and the star quarterback who has led this team to a championship is hit hard, and his back just gives, and they almost were going to have to carry him out on a stretcher, but he musters the strength to stand up, and they bring in their second string quarterback. Boom! Immediately gets injured. Mm-hmm. And now they're down to their third string quarterback, enter Willie Beeman.
And honestly, if you think that's like far-fetched, like, oh, no, that never happened. I'm a big football fan. I've seen it happen. It happened with like the Niners with like Brock Purdy. That's why he's like the starting quarterback. Like it happens, like not all the time, but it does. It has happened
any given Sunday, right?
Exactly. That's why it's the perfect title. But that's so kind of funny, like why they chose. Maybe they wanted to give him a little bit more adversity because you obviously have Cap. But then you have Willie Beeman, but who's like the middle guy? Like, why would they even bring in like that second string guy? That's why I'm like, they probably just have that guy just for a little bit of for fluff in the story, just to add that, like, just to add the adversity to Willie Beeman and stuff like that. He's just a third string guy. When they found him, he just had his hat on backwards. He's just chilling on the bench. He barely knows even the plays and stuff like that. Even Pacino, and he's like, does this guy know the plays? He's like, he knows the basic stuff, but he's pretty much just going off
on the fly. Yeah, learning on the fly, and that becomes a source of tension because he also starts to change the plays we see later on, and that really ruffles the feathers of LL Cool J, who plays the running back Washington.
Yeah.
But before we get there, I did, one thing that you did make some good points about the scene where after the game, the coach goes to see Dennis Quaid, his quarterback, who's just his back is just giving out on him. He's been taking the toll of this game of football for years, and I hated his wife, bro, in this. Dude. We'll get to that, but she proved to be it was disgusting how unsupportive she was, given how much he had sacrificed as far as his body went,
and the type of life
to build the life that she also was really rude towards Beeman's girlfriend when they all were at that dinner with the mayor. Yeah, she was very condescending and clearly was very jealous of the threat that Willie posed to her family, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
like, girl, he's on the way out
for real. And he's had a storied career based on the character,
You're taken care of. He even mentions it when he's like, the girls are good.
I'm gonna do the broadcasting thing.
Yeah, and that scene when she just goes off on him, I'm just like, oh my god, I wish I can just reach my hand in this fucking TV right now and take this back to 1920,
bro.
But it's like, I can't believe just like the audacity of this. I mean, I was gonna save it like for a negative, but it's like there's so many unredeemable characters. There's not many redeemable
there aren't
in this movie, which makes it
I'm trying
a
to think,
bit of a negative.
Yeah.
I guess Cap is like the only redeemable because he's just out there. He tried to. I mean, I guess he's just driven by he's trying to help it. He's trying to help the coach. He just feels so bad, and the coach is just playing on his emotions of just like, I need you, man. I need you out there. It's like, so maybe Cap could be the only redeemable person.
As far as the main characters go, I hear what you're saying. I'm trying to think as far as one of the minor characters that I think that I actually did find a good person was Jim Brown's character. Like, he was really like, when Coach makes a decision to allow Shark to play despite having the report, his health status, that he could potentially die.
That's true.
If he hits or gets hit wrong. I thought when Pacino made the decision to allow him to play after Shark was begging him.
Yeah.
And that was one of the highlights for me in this movie, that was that scene. But you can tell Jim Brown's character is disappointed that he's subjecting him to this risk.
Yeah.
You can tell like he's frustrated with that. Yeah. And
that's true.
I thought that, like, to me, I think he was a hard ass. He was very old school, but I actually thought that he was a good person. Mm-hmm. And he has those moments even with the head coach where, he talks about wanting to go back and coach like kids again, where that love was there. And to me, I thought that was a really strong moment too. And he has that great line at practice. He's like, I don't get strokes, motherfucker. I give them.
Yeah.
Like that shit was so funny. Like I mean, he has a certain presence, Jim Brown,
Yeah.
and especially in a story like this, like he's totally convincing.
Yeah.
Because he's done this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's why they this movie does have like that certain have that realism like feel to it, is because they actually had like players like Jim Brown, Lawrence Taylor, just to mention the few that were in this that made a strong impact on the film. Even like Lawrence Taylor, I don't know if he's like acted in anything else, but like you said,
Waterboy.
is he? He's in.
Yeah, he's like leading a kids camp, a youth camp for football. And Bobby Boucher, he is beside him, co-hosting it. And Bobby goes on this fucking nonsensical like rant, and LT's like, "That brings me to the next lesson, kids. Don't smoke crack or something like that."
Yeah, stay off drugs or some shit. Yeah, that's definitely ringing a bell. But that scene alone just like kind of showed like, man, he's got like I think he's got a little something there in the acting realm. Is he still alive or is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to say like keep talking about him if he passed away too much.
Jim Brown, I believe.
Jim Brown's passed away. But Lawrence Taylor, I mean, I'm surprised he maybe didn't try to do anything more with the acting role, because in that scene when he's like begging a coach for him to get played, even though he's gonna be at super like high risk of like paralysis or maybe even they're talking about instant death.
Yeah,
it's because his neck and his head's so fucked up. Like if you get hit the wrong way, it's gonna be lights out. And when that scene does happen, because that's pretty much almost like you're foreshadowing to an incident, pretty much.
You know something I didn't want to talk about. So originally, I think Stone and like the producers were trying to work with the NFL to kind of get like land a little bit more authenticity. But when they caught wind about what this movie was about, they were put off, and they were like, basically no. And I think it was very, in some ways, I wonder if it was smart to create this parallel league to the NFL in this movie, where you're not actually, because if you were to set these guys, if they were Miami Dolphins, that could potentially legally get you in trouble, right? Yeah. Whereas having this league that's parallel to the NFL, you have the Miami Sharks, right? That kind of allowed them to kind of tell their story, but not run afoul legally with the NFL.
Yeah, because like there's like obviously there's blatant like steroid use, there's like
concussion, CET, TDE. This was before we know what we know now.
And then you got James Woods is the like the physician,
completely unethical,
and like what he's doing with like there's the NFL is definitely smart to not like get assigned to that, because
it does not make them look good. And,
no,
and the reason I wanted to preface what I was about to say with that, because I think this movie is in some ways a condemnation of like the business side of professional football, where you have a very, very cutthroat world where there isn't loyalty. It really is kind of like Hollywood. What have you done for me lately? It's that kind of business, it seems. And they knowingly overlooked their health of their players in order to serve their own needs. Exactly. And you saw like one of the things, and with Cameron Diaz's character, Christina Pagnachi, I'm not sure how you pronounce her name, but she is being investigated, we learn later in this movie, over her handlings and trying to sell the team and move to LA. Yep. So there's like she's not a likable character by any means, but there are moments where I do kind of sympathize with her, like when she hears her mom and coach talking about how her deceased husband, Christina's father, wanted a son more than anything. Yeah. And so she's kind of hearing this. So there are moments where you're like, damn, like I empathize, because like, what I'm saying, you feel like you're almost like an outcast, especially being a woman. Even though you're a white woman, you are a woman in this space, this boys club.
I mean, because
it's white boys club.
Well, like there's that moment when like she's even looking around in the box. Cause I think the mom even made that comment, was like she's the son that he always wanted or something like that. And she just kind of has like a look on her face. And we're like, she's kind of looking around and it's just all dudes in the box. They're all just kind of talking business. And it feels like she's just like the only one that actually cares about the game, but she's the only female in there. And so it's like they still, even though she might be the most knowledgeable of the sport, they won't listen to her just because she's a woman. But, you know, there's certain things that's when you start to feel for her a little bit. But then, like, anything that's to do with, like, her mom and, like, being a female in that space makes you, like, feel for her. But then when she just barges into the fucking locker room, you're like, bitch, you better back the fuck up. I got my dick out.
Yo, that scene was wild, but they were all loving her. They were like, hey.
But then, I mean, dude, wild. And this is at 1999.
Not too far removed from the
95. Cameron Diaz is still in my probably top 3 or top 5 all time. Like, her on The Mask is just sets that screen on fire, man. But she's not too far off that. She's still setting that screen on fire in this. But when she barges in and she's just like, yeah, play Beeman and blah, 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 blah. And then they go to and then here goes Pacino. Come to the back.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the back. They start fucking arguing. And then Beeman just like goes back and she's like,
hey, you already told me I'm playing.
Yeah, I'm already playing.
It's so awkward.
She's just like, oh. I mean, she doesn't say that, but she has that look on her face like, oh.
Bro. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say one of my negatives now. Some of the scenes where Pacino is arguing with her, and he's being Pacino, overly dramatic. I'm just like, I can't do this. This is not it right now. I'm sorry. That's not Pacino at his best for me.
No.
It's not even close. I mean,
what would you say is like your best Pacino? You probably have to go way back.
I'm thinking I would probably say Godfather.
Yeah,
1 and 2.
You gotta go back to Godfather. Even like maybe I haven't seen the whole movie front to back, but I've seen a lot of clips, like Devil's Advocate.
That's a decent movie, but he kind of gets in his bag there too towards the end. Yeah. It's like those scenes. I'm not a fan of those scenes.
Well, to me, like that's why. I mean,
the only time where I'm actually a fan of that from him is Scarface. And I think that's also a very overrated movie, if I'm being honest.
The movie's not great. It's
there are so many better crime movies.
That movie's based on moments for me. It's
like, iconic as fuck.
It's like the beginning when, you know, the chainsaw scene, the beginning of that, or like obviously the iconic ending, or like when the bomb scene when he's just like, I'm not gonna do.
He kills the hitman.
Yeah. To me, like that movie is it's a good movie just to watch on YouTube. Just watch clips of it and you'll pretty much get the point.
Yeah, it's worth seeing.
Like
but
Goodfellas, to me, Goodfellas is like, that's a film. That's a film you watch front to back. You
Goodfellas.
Get a good snack, get some good weed in you.
Casino.
Yeah. But Scarface just doesn't like hold up. It's a good moments type of movie. But Pacino, that's why I guess like now thinking about it, De Niro, it'll be interesting to see because he is a higher caliber actor in my opinion.
I think he has more range too. Yeah.
But this role, I mean, so it'll be interesting to see how he would have done. But Pacino and like what they called for maybe fits him a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, he has some moments in the movie where, like I mentioned, like his moments with Jamie Foxx. Maybe because I do enjoy Foxx and Cameron Diaz's acting, that I get he gets away with it a little bit. But it didn't bother me too much, but I can definitely see the issues with it. Especially, I mean, honestly, when he goes to Dennis Quaid, that's when it really strikes me as like, oh God, this is not good. One quick thing about Dennis Quaid. Have you seen The Substance?
No. Bro. I heard it. I've heard nothing but great things about that movie.
When I think I mentioned that in our best of episode of a movie that I didn't watch, like Heretic, and I think there was something else like Anora, movies that I didn't see.
That got nominated.
Yeah, that looks nice. Yeah.
Go see it. It's great.
It fell in that lineup. I didn't watch it, but it had that potential because I was very interested to see it. It could have possibly gotten to my honorable mentions or top 5.
For real?
I just saw The Substance. Dennis Quaid's in it, and honestly, that's probably one of my favorite Dennis Quaid movies.
Okay.
In it. I mean, he's not a main character. I mean, he's definitely a high character in there, but not the main one. But that movie is it's great.
Okay.
It would have.
I need to check it out. I heard they're re-releasing it in theaters for since award seasons.
Oh, really?
Since it's award season, yeah.
Dude, with the effects, the score, even like the acting between the Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. Dennis Quaid with the camera angles that they are planning in, or like they zoom in so much with the face, so almost too much. They show so many ass shots in this where it almost gets a little too much. But the movie's fun. It's gross. The effects are amazing, and like it's just a fun ass movie. You got to go watch The Substance at some point.
Okay,
you got to check that out.
Have you seen Anora yet?
No, I think that's going to be next on my list.
Okay,
because I keep hearing shit about that just as well. Like that and Strange Darling are the
bro.
two.
I was gonna say, have you seen Strange Darling?
Those are the two that I hear so much. I just gotta turn it on.
My God, man, what's it gonna take?
I might, depending on I mean, we're recording right now. Depending on how long these episodes take, I'm gonna go home and watch that. But or one of those two.
Yeah.
But then Heretic, that's another one.
I can't wait for your text. See, okay, so Heretic is cool, but those two movies are better in my opinion.
Well, which one should I watch first, Anora or Strange Darling?
If you're feeling something that has like a little bit of humor added to it, I would say Anora. If you want something that's just more of a just straight up thriller, I would say Strange Darling. So that's not. I mean, it really depends on kind of like what your vibe is.
Either way, I think I'll probably go with the shorter of the two.
Yeah.
Whichever one is shorter. Either way, I'm going to go with a banger. Got into the weeds a little bit again, but...
and we're back.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mentioned some of the negatives of this film. It's not a huge negative for me, but obviously some of the uniforms, it's just because we obviously need to get into the licensing of the movie or the NFL and everything. So it definitely feels very arena football or
XFL.
Yeah, exactly. Like go to let's say Remember the Titans. That even though like those uniforms, like it's a high school, so like you can't really like be super nitpicky. But even in that movie, like those uniforms looked just way better than some of these uniforms. Like that team they played, what is it, Miami with the red
cross?
The red cross.
That shit was ugly as fuck. I was like, yo, what is this?
I would never sign with that team just based on
These the Crusaders? Who is this?
Those things were horrific. The some of the acting, the overacting from the I would say the quad some of Quaid, Pacino, Diaz, Foxx. They have some good moments, but they also have their moments when they are just taking it a little bit too over the top.
I thought the story arc of Willie Beeman, man, when he was feeling himself, I was like, oh man, this dude is really on his own dick right now. Yeah. And you know, when he started disrespecting the team at Shark's house party, that was a good scene because he also was speaking on something real, which was everybody seems to kind of be out for themselves, thinking about themselves, you know, and you know, he starts really criticizing LL and his own teammates, which is not a smart thing to do. Mm-hmm. And when he makes that comment about the defense, LL goes and tells Shark what the fuck's going on, and he said, "You got to be shitting me," and he saws Beeman's truck in half.
Speaking of chainsaws, literally takes a chainsaw to his fucking car, and it's just like, bro, you better just stay in your lane.
For real, I was like, why are you antagonizing your teammate and people who are blocking for you? And then they stop blocking for him, and that game where it's just fucking monsoon weather, he got his ass lit up. That hit where he gets hit from the back, and his helmet falls off.
Yeah. Who did it fall on this time? Scoreboard that shit right now.
That was egregious.
At least you caught it in time.
Oh, God. Moving right along. Yeah, when he got fucked up. They did not block him for him because he was talking that shit, and that leads to the fight scene with him and LL. He's like, "What's wrong, you Willie? Somebody forgot your invisible juice."
I forgot your invisible juice, bro. This is like, it's such a funny ass scene to me. Like, bro, like just thinking of it, like, bro, you guys are in the showers or you guys are just butt naked, just got towels on or whatever, and this is the moment when you guys want to fucking fight right now. This is the moment when you want to lose it, Willie. I guess they call you Willie for nothing. But dude, you go over. you suck LL's character. You start the fight, and then you end up getting put on your ass. And he's literally sitting there just like, oh, holding his face like a little bitch. I was like, God damn it. You better get your ass up and try to get your licks in, boy.
Man, that was a funny scene. But that was also like that game was also like just in general a really good moment in the movie.
But he was feeling himself. When the media plays into you like that, they start giving you everything, feeding into that monster. Just like what did Denzel say to Will Smith? The devil comes for you at your highest moment.
Yeah, well, what was also crazy was just seeing the celebrity of, these players in Miami, the party. They donate. The team, I think it was Christina. They were at this gathering / dinner event with the mayor, and they give she gives $200,000 to the Dare, and at this same party motherfucker LL is sniffing coke off of this woman's fucking breast, and his white woman walks in and fucking starts going off on him. And this motherfucker was dressed, I swear to God, like Mac 10 at a fucking West Side Connection video. He has like this fucking this fucking red bowler hat, this red suit. I'm like, my God, bruh.
Looking straight at Dick
Tracy. YG would be proud.
Oh,
the hard bottoms.
But he ended up getting her back technically kind of like towards the end, like when he finally comes to his senses.
I'm talking about LL. At that party.
I was thinking of JB.
Because Bill Bellamy is getting head from a woman while he's on the toilet.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking of Willie Beeman was the person doing that. Yeah, that was LL.
It was LL. Yeah. That was the party. That was the party where his lady really gets pissed at him. Remember, because they end up going home and having that party.
Yeah,
and he gives her that line. He said, "Don't let my success go to your head, bitch." And then she's, that fight got nasty because remember. At some point in the fight, she's like, "I'm gonna go stay at my girlfriend's house. She probably fuck me better than you can." He said, "Go on, take your dyke ass on." She's like, "I'm not a dyke."
Dude, that was also a nice surprise too to find Bill Bellamy. Speaking of how to be a player, like I totally forgot that he was in this movie. So that was definitely a pleasant surprise as well. Yeah. Honestly, there was some definitely some funny moments in this movie.
Some good cameos. Yeah. I think I'll say this with my last con, or my last two cons, and then I'll, if you want, we can pivot to scores. But for me, the pacing was a little too fast. I didn't mind that so much on the field, but it jumped around a little bit too much, and I thought that it didn't explore some of the topics that they brought up earlier. Like for example, what was the resolution with Christina and the NFL's investigation of what was going on there, you know what I mean? And then we kind of have that interesting end scene where Pacino's at the press conference and says that he's basically going to be leaving, but then he gives us the plot twist, the double decker really, which is, I'm going to actually be coaching at for another team, and I'm going to have basically total control, damn near, right? Dude, and I'm taking Willie Beeman.
Yeah, and he's going to sign Willie. Dude, when I heard all that type of shit, because I totally forgot how this movie ended. I was a little bit surprised because it seems like it had a bit of success. I'm surprised they didn't try to capitalize and do a sequel to this, especially like in the early 2000s. But that's why I mentioned earlier, I felt like this movie could have lent itself well to like a series. The pacing definitely felt very fast. There's a lot of like plot lines feels like there's going on. Mm-hmm. And they just kind of like, even like when they pick up in the movie and it's already like kind of towards the end of the season and like going through Willie's like rise and fall, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It's like when you think about it, it was literally over maybe like just a 2 to 3 week, maybe 4 week span, like a month, if that. So like it definitely could have lent itself to maybe extending it to the whole season.
Yeah.
And just like showing that's like, even like when
they got to narrow their focus if they do that, because this movie's already 157 minutes or some odd minutes.
Yeah. That's why they maybe even just leave out some of like the off the field stuff as far as like the Christina stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can like allude to like she's like maybe like a shady owner in a way, but you don't need to like have an actual plot line of her like get any investigated and stuff like that. Because now it's like, whoa, what are we going on here? So it's like I think they should have just like narrowed their focus a little bit more, and maybe the film would a little bit more successful for me, and probably as you as well.
Yeah, the pacing was definitely one thing, and the other thing for me was it felt overstyled at times. So an example of that, the best example I can think of right now is the lightning flash at the end of the movie where Willie Beeman is like basically at the line of scrimmage about to hike the ball,
And then you see his face,
and you see this lightning. I'm just thinking like, what? Why?
Well,
why did you do this? This was not needed,
bro. It's like the scene when they're eating the jambalaya at the dinner, and they go into like what movie he's watching, like Ben-Hur, or whatever, like whatever.
Charlton Heston was actually also in this movie. He was the commissioner of the league.
Oh,
yeah.
Even Oliver Stone put himself in this movie.
Yeah, he was one of the coaches, right?
No, the announcer. He was like the John Madden.
Oh,
I was like, he's like, there's so much going on in this movie. I gotta put myself in my own shit.
Yeah, of course,
man. But yeah, like you said, I definitely agree with that. It definitely felt over stylized in certain aspects. I guess the jambalaya scene when they're like kind of just like the way they're cutting the Ben-Hur stuff. And they're talking at the table. It just felt just like too much going on right now. Even at the end when it just felt confusing. Like they said, the moment when like they freeze on Willie's face and his face kind of fades, and they're showing a lot of other stuff going on. I'm like, what are we watching here? Like, I don't need to get into this. Like,
be arty.
I know. This is an A24.
Yeah, no, it's not.
We just need to get deep in this shit of like what's going on in Willie's mind.
Yeah.
It felt like he was almost like, he started out to just try to maybe make a fun film, and maybe he was like, maybe I should make this a little bit more serious. It looks like he just had Oliver Stone, possibly because he also had a hand in writing this as well.
Yeah.
Had just too much going on. He wanted to attack too many things, and it just felt, as the saying goes, it's overstuffed and undercooked.
Yeah, I agree. Well, with that said, let's pivot to scores, man. Unless you have anything else you wanted to cover?
No, nothing at the top of my mind. Yeah, we can go to scores. I'll start it off. I was going to go with a solid 3 for me on Any Given Sunday. There's some high moments in this film as far as like some of the football scenes and even like some funny moments with LL Cool J and Bill Bellamy's character. There's a lot of good cameos. Terrell Owens, Jim Brown. I'm like, well, Jim Brown's not really a cameo. He's more of a character. There's some good moments to take from this film. I find it like has like some rewatchability to it, because the moments that you do spend on the field and in the locker room, those are some very good moments in the movie. And even the Willie Beeman song.
Oh, iconic. That DMX song too, when that plays. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I feel like the soundtrack is a kind of underrated a little bit. It doesn't. It's not a standout, but when you're kind of going through the film, you're kind of hearing some tracks.
It definitely works.
This is nice, but too many plot lines going on. For my take in a way, not the focus should have been narrowed a little bit. And so with that, I just give it a 3.
Man, we are aligned this week. Unfortunately, last week he mistakenly gave Endgame a 4.5. But no, man, we
stays where it's at.
I don't know if you saw the poll, but
polls are skewed.
Oh man,
that movie is carried on that third act, even though the first.
I beg your pardon.
I will always say that movie is carried on that third act.
You act like the second act ain't great.
It's still good. The first 2 acts are still very good, but to me,
it's stuck the landing. I think
Infinity War stays at a high, and it just keeps there.
Listen, we're not gonna
Endgame
this here.
Endgame has a build, and potentially it does have a higher high, but yeah, we ain't gotta go.
Moving right along.
Infinity War's better.
No, but on this movie, we are definitely aligned. This is a 3 for me. Some of the reasons that you mentioned. I think where this movie excels at is kind of giving like some of the visuals and the cinematography of the actual what happens within the locker room and on the field. That's where this movie really excels. It also gives you this really, it really shines light on just the egoism that exists amongst the players and in the locker room. I think that LL Cool J's character, I mean, this is a theme that kind of comes up too, is like the commercialism of the game.
Yeah.
And how, Washington is very mindful about getting his yards and his carries and his touchdowns, getting his stats so that he can get his money. Yeah. There's that funny line too where he confronts the coach about how Willie is changing the plays, and the offensive coordinator is right beside him. He says, what you're really worried about is getting your bonus. He said, or being able to sell soup or something like that.
Yeah.
He said, what would you know anyways? You're a fucking offensive coordinator. So there's like those scenes that kind of highlight just like the commercialism in the game. And again, with Shark, trying to get his bonus, trying to get the stats that he needs. And he puts himself to great risk to do that. So I think that it touches on those things really well, like the egoism, but also frankly, the malpractice that exists within the medical personnel. Yeah. Oftentimes that subjects these players to great risk when all of the signs are there that they shouldn't be playing. So I think that's where it really excels. But if I'm being honest, it's just the impact of this movie, the legacy relative to other football movies or football centric movies, this movie to me, this doesn't even come to mind. I mean, I think about Jerry Maguire, Remember the Titans, and Friday Night Lights. Those are the three movies that I think of. And then after that, I probably think, if I'm being frank, Little Giants. I fucking love that movie.
Honestly, that is a hit. Not even, maybe it's a hidden gem. I don't know how hidden or...
For our generation, though, I mean...
But like you said, I was thinking that same thing. Like, this doesn't have, like, any of the iconic moments that I can think... Like, I compared to Remember the Titans. We did a review of Remember the Titans. Go check out that episode. But... Like, Remember the Titans, there's just so many moments, so many lines. Like, make them remember you remember the Titans or the song. There's so many moments in that movie, and it's a very good film all in all. But in this movie, besides the Willie Beeman song and like that character of Willie Beeman, if you take out Beeman and just, I guess if you just put in that backup, whoever that guy was, and try to make a movie on that, to me, it loses all of its steam if you take out Willie Beeman. There's just no, I mean, I guess the pregame speech, or was it the halftime speech that Pacino gives? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people, some people highlight that's highlight.
That's fair for sure.
His flowers in that part, but to me, it just lacks the moments. Even like you said, Friday Night Lights. I actually haven't seen Jerry Maguire, but a Friday Night Lights.
Hold on,
the Titans.
What?
Yeah, I've never seen Jerry Maguire.
Yep. That's confusing, brother.
Yo, it's not gonna work for me.
Yo, it's such a great movie, man. The script is great. The acting is great. This is why we've had these conversations about how, Tom Cruise is really great in action movies, but he's actually excellent when it comes to straight up dramas just acting. And I would. That's one of the movies I would bring up. A Few Good Men is also a movie that I would bring up. And dude, that movie is excellent. And Cuba Gooding Jr., who was also considered for this role, but Oliver Stone passed on him because Cuba had already done a football movie in Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, and
he'd already played that role. But he nails it. I think he was nominated and won, if I'm not mistaken.
Cuba?
I think he might have won. We're getting really in the weeds. But just to close the loop, this is a decent movie. But it's really, I think there's a lot of better directions you can go as far as football movies.
It's a solid middle of the ground type of movie.
It's like if you were having kind of tier 2 almost.
If you were having a ranking on football movies, I think it would rank in like maybe it would rank in the top 10, maybe in that 10 through 5 range somewhere, or maybe at that 5-4 spot potentially. Like I said, because like Friday Night Lights, Little Giants, Remember the Titans, those definitely would rank above it.
People would throw Rudy in there. I'm not a fan of Rudy.
Not a fan of Rudy. Rudy can go.
But I know some people would put that up there. I'm trying to think any other. Yeah.
One thing I was a quick note on though with Willie Beeman, I actually thought they were gonna like dive into like when they showed him like changing the plays and all that type of stuff. Obviously, it just went into like him just like, he just has to like feel it and he's just going out there kind of just doing his own thing. But I thought they were actually going to mention him like having trouble with like remembering the plays, or that he can't read the playbook or something like that. Like maybe that's a part of the reason why his draft stock plummeted in a way.
Well, his shoulder too. They touched on that, but they didn't really explore that much. Like
like I said, when they had the scene with him at the diner, when him talking about the shoulder with Pacino, it's like, Jamie Foxx is definitely carrying that in a way. But I thought they were going to dive into something on like him just not being able to like, whether it's read the playbook or understand the playbook or remember it in a way. Just I thought that was just going to be a aspect of his character when I was kind of interested, and I was like, oh, they're gonna kind of dive in a little bit, because I remember this movie but I just didn't remember it vividly. And seeing them pass on that, I thought that they could have maybe had an opportunity with that, but that's for the Any Given Sunday series, if that ever which I feel like they could always do that. I mean, they can always find charismatic characters for these roles, so
for sure. But that wraps up our review and this week's episode. Stay tuned. We are getting our movies lined up for Black History Month, so keep an eye out. We're looking forward to dropping.
Want to tell them what we're doing, since we already got them on the list?
I mean, well, we already so we decided on 4 movies: Moonlight, Black Klansman, House Party, and Blank Man.
I totally forgot about Blank Man. How did I forget about that?
We wanted to do a balance of some dramas, some newer movies, but also some coming of age, and also a comedy. So really looking forward to diving in those movies. Those are definitely classics in my eyes, for very different reasons. Stay tuned. And we're really looking forward to talking about those films with you guys.
Peace.